Welcome to the Consulting Kingdom, the ultimate podcast for business consultants who are ready to master their craft and make a meaningful impact as a kingdom business. Hosted by Patrick Bell, this podcast dives into powerful strategies and actionable insights that will help you grow in your consulting expertise. Through expert interviews, the Consulting Kingdom pulls from our guests their advice and equips you with the tools and knowledge and heart direction necessary to drive extraordinary results for your clients and your business. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and follow us on social media for exclusive content and updates. Now, get ready to unlock your consulting potential with the Consulting Kingdom.
Hey everyone, it's Patrick Bell here with John Sedej of New Path Business Advisors coming out of Carmel, Indiana. John, welcome to the show today. Glad to have you with us.
Yeah, still not used to hearing Carmel, Indiana after spending my entire life in Illinois and half of it in the city of Chicago. And still not used to that.
So tell us what's going on in your world, in the consulting world, in the kingdom world. What's happening with you?
Boy, a nice small question to start off with, right, Pat?
Here we go.
So what's going on? Well, as I just kind of alluded to, we moved out of Chicago about a year ago after living there I'd lived there for about 24 years. My wife and I we needed a change, and we looked for a while, and fortunate that the way I built my company is that I've been able, similar to you, to be operated really anywhere. Even when I had the mortgage business, we had a successful mortgage. We could really operate it anywhere. We had a couple of offices, but I always designed lifestyle first to whatever I do. I would always sacrifice a little bit of income for flexibility.
Sure.
So when we knew it was time, my wife's an elementary school teacher. So we looked around, and boy, it was an interesting journey. I'll just leave it at that. And Carmel, Indiana was not the place we thought, but it's an amazing little town. It's immediately north of Indianapolis. It's thriving.
Does it have snow there?
What's that?
Does it get snow?
Oh yeah, we get snow. Yeah, it's only 3 hours south of Chicago.
Okay, it's off my list then.
Yeah, sorry. Well, it wasn't much. I think we had less than 10 inches or something the entire winter. It was crazy.
Yeah, sure.
But it's been really amazing to see, because one of the things that drew us down here is that on a visit, we Googled churches in the area, say, let's try to find a church, because that is important to us. The even foundation of my business, I have what's called an F5 foundation, which is faith, family, freedom, finances, and fun. And it wasn't necessarily always practiced in that order in my lifetime. So it certainly has been prioritized differently. And to come to an area that everyone was it's one of the most beautiful cities you'll find. It's actually been rated for 3 or 4 years in a row the number one small town in America to live in.
Nice. Okay.
Which is amazing. But there's faith-centric people here. There are people that kind of walk the talk. They're not that kind of woo-woo type Christian people here, but there's a lot of it. And there's sports here, and there's energy and great restaurants, because kind of Chicago, there are certain things we need it, man. We need to be within an hour of an international airport. It's got to be professional sports. And, there's got to be some decent restaurants. Those are critical for us, after living that close to Wrigley Field for so many years.
For sure.
Yeah. So I'll answer that question. Business-wise, I'll answer that quickly. It has actually been a time where it's allowed me to take a step back to really try to formulate what direction, where do I want to go? Because as you and I know from conversations and how we operate in the past, we were able to talk to probably close to 300 to 400 business owners in the last few years, just evaluating what they do, why they do it. And one thing that became clear, especially with all the divide that's going on in the world and stuff like that, there's a lot of business owners who are really stressed out. And I found that one commonality was true, is that a lot of business owners are working so hard, but they're not even sure where they're going or why they're doing it.
Yeah.
And they've kind of lost purpose. And if their only purpose is to try to make more money or to grow it, I'm like, okay, great. And so one of the questions we found ourselves asking everybody, and got some really interesting answers. Say, great, if we grow your revenue, we increase your profits, we make you more efficient, and we can streamline this and get your cultural improvement. When all that's working, then what?
Yeah.
What's your life look like?
And what's the common answer on that? What are you getting back from people?
They haven't thought about it.
Wow, really?
Yeah. At best, I would say that let me just turn off my, I want to make sure my VPN isn't turned on so it doesn't mess this up. Maybe you've seen this. There's a lot of knee-jerk answers they feel they should say. Based upon what the culture says, their family of origin might say, even their faith, wherever it might be. Yet most people are so busy doing, they haven't taken a step back, as you put in a faith structure, go to a quiet place and figure out what they're really called to do.
Right.
And evaluate is the phrase I use. Hey, if you don't watch where you're going, you're going to end up where you're headed. And is that really where you want to go?
Yeah.
And what I found is a lot of people, they had one of those moments where they had to really think about it. And we've all have to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And depending where they are in their life, with their family, do they have kids, financial things? We started, years ago, I was, when we owned the mortgage company, I started doing financial coaching for people and helped thousands of people with that, identify getting a healthy relationship with money. And you come into the business world, and depending on what your circle of influence is, what your barometer of what is success, they a lot of times will say this is what's most important. Like I say, family and faith and whatnot. And I say, awesome, that's great. I hear that a lot. So if I had your bank accounts and your calendar, would that align with what you just told me?
In silence.
Yeah. And it's said with, I'm not trying to be kitschy. I'm trying to be respectful, but let's get honest with one another.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I guess what I'm noticing is that people are really seeking some degree of significance, even though they may not know it. They want to have significance of what they do. Sure, they want to have financial margin and of time and money. There's usually a trade-off between the two. And they want to have more control over that emotionally and financially and whatnot. Yet when you get to the top of when you're working in a pyramid of a business and you're at the top, you have to seek people out, and sometimes fear or different things will hold them back. So that's why I think in our industry, which is unfortunately in the greater advisory, consulting, coaching, youth strategy, you throw the title on there. Everyone uses different things.
Yeah.
My personal opinion is, and I think we've talked about this, the vast majority of people I don't think are equipped to effectively lead leaders the way they need to be led.
No, you're right.
And intention.
They think they do.
Oh, sure.
That's the problem.
Absolutely.
And so in thinking they do, and in not having the skill set or not having the right tools or a combination of all the above, they're actually a little bit dangerous, if they think, hey, I can just get in and help this business, but they don't really know what they're doing.
Oh, sure.
So,
and again, intention and capability. And even if they have some of the technical knowledge, there's some people that have let's call it the professorial theoretical viewpoint on how to run a business.
Yeah.
Yet they have no emotional intelligence or actual experience doing it.
Yep.
And so sometimes, say you and I have both worked with clients where we lay out for the strategy. This is what they, you want to have this is the way to do it. And they have this look come over for their face. And you're like, this is what it takes to roll that out and to implement that. Are you going to do that? Be honest. No. I said, this got shelved. Then don't even go there. Because if you're not going to do it, don't waste the time and effort. And if you're we talk with business coaches, we talk with consultants, a lot of times they're one or two trick pony. They're coming with a marketing strategy, or they're coming with a sales training, or they're coming with operational efficiency. And if they've never sat in the chair of having to develop all that out, making investments, hiring the people, trying stuff out, having employees making more than you are, kind of a thing like that. If you've never sat in that chair, the music is different.
Yes.
It's very, very different. And I think today, especially in the world where you hear two phrases, authenticity and transparency. Haven't you been hearing that a lot?
Oh, all the time, of course.
Yeah. I think it's my little spin on it is I think people are looking for authentic transparency.
Oh, interesting. I like that.
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
It's like there's a lot of fake transparency and fake gurus out there. And nowadays, heck, a year or two from now, we might be on a screen giving this talk somewhere, but it really isn't us. It could be some AI generated image. Who knows?
It could be. You're right.
Yeah. So you can get fearful about that. You can get frustrated, or you can look at the opportunity that it has. And at the end of the day, I think our responsibility where our shift has been going is really focusing on the person and helping them. And I don't even believe that you got to follow your passions. No, passions is like chasing happiness. It's fleeting. It's up and down. Finding purpose and finding joy, well, those can exist regardless of the circumstance.
Absolutely.
And that's, isn't that what God doesn't promise us happiness. We seek peace and we seek joy. And the more I start to study that and understand that, the more I realize, especially when I was younger, I was chasing the wrong thing.
So how do you speak to, let's say, consultants who are getting started or they're maybe midway, they're not being as successful as they want to be, mm-hmm. and you taking just what you've talked about the positioning of like the expertise, what are you in this for, all your experience, speak to those consultants. Like, what advice would you give consultants who are coming up through the ranks and looking for ways to find some breakthrough there?
I guess I could go a couple different ways. One is know what you know and know what you don't know. Don't try to be something you're not, or think that someone's program or paint by numbers approach or software is going to make you be a expert in something you have no experience in. Grow with where you're planted. Stay in your lane to get started. And you will come across, if you are effective, you and I both know, you might start a conversation one way, but if you ask the questions you're supposed to ask and listen, that can go a whole different ballgame. And I think, and we saw this at a conference that I think you and I attended one time. I was talking to somebody. Their challenge was not getting someone to raise their hand and say, hey, will you work with me? They're actually pretty good at that. The reason they hadn't got a lot of clients, I said, well, that's true. Why don't you have more clients? They were real honest. And they said, don't tell anybody, but I honestly don't know what to do when they say yes.
Yeah.
And I found I was trying to follow this checklist and it didn't fit with what they were telling me. I said, well, no, because we're dealing with people. I said, they're not robots, they're people. They tend to not follow the script. So the advice would be know what you're good at, figure out a way where you can know what your core unique positioning is in that. What is your value proposition? Watch out for comparison game. Oof, that can lead you down some paths.
Yeah.
And be good at that. And as that grows and you see other opportunities, if you can learn it and add to your skill set, great. If not, find someone else who's really good at the part that you're not and start building a strategic team. And when you bring those people around you, really vet them. Make sure they share the same ethical and moral standards in which you operate.
Yeah.
Because that will come into what it is. And, I've had fortunate that I built a really vetted network, but some people have had to be excluded from that network from time to time.
So this is especially true, of course, in the whole age of digital marketing, where we as consultants, and we're getting a little older and digital becomes harder for me, at least. Mm-hmm. It moves so quickly, I can't keep up.
Yeah.
And at the same point, I think I don't need to keep up. But what I do need to do is surround myself with people who know what they're doing
Mm-hmm.
or find the right tools, and outsource the digital marketing components of consulting. Like, it just
Absolutely.
doesn't make sense for you or I to be working on some company's SEO or, social media page at our stage in life.
No.
We need to be helping these businesses figure out what are the right tools and resources to use, identifying the right people that can come around site who, their life is spending 40 or 50 or 60 hours a week doing that. Say, for example, the SEO work.
Mm-hmm.
We can't compete with that, nor should we even try.
No.
And so you can extrapolate that into different areas of, well, when, this company needs a financial health analysis.
Mm-hmm.
Well, am I the right guy to do that? Like, is that really my strength?
Yep.
Or, is it leadership, for example? If you had to talk about leadership, is that really my strength? Because I could talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
I could follow a script.
Yep.
Or I could call you, John, and say, John, I need some help with this group in this company. And then, that's where the collaboration is just beautiful and the connections are made. And then the results for the clients are also made, right?
Yeah, one thing that COVID has been really good for, it's put a spotlight on outsourcing and specialization. And I think especially as AI is going to transform the marketplace, I was at an AI conference here in Carmel, sponsored by a local university, and it was an amazing conference. They had 200 people there, 70 of them were students, high school students and stuff. And this college dean, they funded this because they see education is about to massively be disrupted. It's already started.
Okay. Yeah.
And so they're trying to we have to start getting ahead of creating new positions, new degrees, new certifications if we're going to compete in the world. And I just heard the other day, Harvard and I believe Yale just laid off a lot of tenured professors. Some of the policies that are out there right now aren't working. So yet it comes back to the best thing I think anyone can focus on. If you get into any business, coaching or anything, it doesn't matter. We all need clients. You don't need any one client. Focus on building relationships. That's it. If you can get really good at building relationships, because I would say probably 95% of the relationships you build, if not even 98 of them, will never put a dollar in your pocket directly.
Right.
Yet, if you're talking about clients for life, friendship for life, why is it as we get older? My father had a phrase years ago. He said, son, and I thought he was crazy in my 20s. And now that I'm, about to celebrate my second 49th birthday, because I can't say 50 yet. So it's my second 49th. Actually, I take it back. I'm going to be celebrating my 49th for the third time here soon.
All right.
He said, at the end of your life, if you have enough close friends, people you can rely on, like your 2 a.m. call, right? Your 2 a.m. call that they're going to pick up and they'll be there. Enough to carry your casket at the end of your life, son, you've lived a really blessed life.
Yeah, that's true.
And I thought that was nuts when you have big groups. But as you get older and you see who are your people, right?
Yep.
And if you can take that same attitude, you can't be everything to everybody. But if you understand your moral and ethical responsibility far exceed your fiduciary and financial responsibility of advising people, and that is core to who you are, I truly believe you'll have a very successful career in consulting, in advising. If you're only doing it for the money, you will have some short-term successes, but you'll have a lot of ups and downs. You'll be shiny object syndrome prone. You will say the right things, and yet you won't have repeat business. I'd rather have 50 clients that I've helped 5 times than 400 clients I've helped once.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee personally, I will deliver more value for them. There's more trust there. They have probably referred me to other people, so I haven't had to spend a ton of money on marketing to go out and find these new people to build the trust.
Yep,
and I probably can actually charge higher fees for our services because they know that they know, like, and trust us.
Right. So are there any tools that you recommend to consultants that you'd say, these are, I'm not promoting my software again or anything like that. I'm trying to figure out what's out there in the market that we can gather around and have a look at and say, this is a great tool. This thing has changed my life, or this has given me advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Or This is something I recommend. I've used it myself. Is there anything like that you know of?
You know, I know what you're talking about, and I've tried a lot of things. And it's hard to say because depending on what your business and your skill set and what your strengths are, I jokingly, my old business partner used to call me Johnny EMP because if it was electronic, he says, you have an electromagnetic pulse running through, you touch anything electronic it just doesn't work.
Oh, funny.
So understand the source of this information here.
Right.
I recommend that there are a lot of software options out there. I would really vet the company and vet the person who created it if you can talk to them like you. What was the reason for designing this? What is the end goal of this? How are you actually equipping this person to serve their clients better? Or are you just trying to sell me a program, sell me a service, sell me another resource? Because many programs out there are only, on the surface, they sound great, but they're about an inch deep and a mile wide as far as value. And so what I find is if you're in your lane, if you're an HR specialist, and don't be a financial strategist. If you're an HR, you've been in HR for 30 years, and then find the software, find the source that's going to help you be very successful with that. Now, what you created in the past, what you have now was very good and is very good at uncovering some pain points and some opportunities and asking some questions that people just may not know to ask. Because it's not the things you say, it's the questions you ask.
Right.
So I would invest people to invest in their personal development, their people skill development, their relational skills, relationship. We all have to sell something. Everyone is a salesperson. If you've ever gone on a date, you're a salesperson. That's what I would invest a lot in, your personal development and how to ask good questions. I remember there was Les Giblin, wrote a book years ago. I'm trying to forget the name. Questions Are the Answers, I think was the name of the book. It's probably written 50 years ago. Those are things that if you get good at asking questions and then listening and writing it down, they will tell you where they need help. And then at that point, you have to have the integrity to say, can you truly help them, or do they need someone else that is better equipped to help them?
Yeah.
And if you are looking at building relationships, your best opportunities and where your business will come from when you least expect it is from that person you had a consultation with. You realize you're not the best person to help them. You knew somebody that was. You connected them to somebody else. They will remember that. And I've gotten referrals from people like that.
Nice.
So you'll see a central theme. So yes, softwares like yours, you want to have automation. You want to set this stuff up. You need to have that. You need to have an automation set up. If you're not strong in that, there are people that are available out there to find them. It's not always easy. And I recommend going to the software provider you have and ask them, who is your most qualified, like rock star utilizing your system? And do they help other companies on the side?
Wow. Good question. Great question.
Because we can go on Fiverr and Upwork and all these other sites, and I've gone through a ton of them. I've spent many, many thousands of dollars trying people out.
Yeah.
So the sooner if you're going to do a business plan, I don't care if you're going to, working out of your house or it doesn't matter. Do a business plan, factor in marketing and a budget. Look for the software. Look at what it costs to hire someone else to run it, as if you are truly the CEO day one. Right. At least know what and ask some people like you, like me, other people that have been successful. What would it cost? I have no idea what this would cost to operate. At least know, say, hey, for me to truly be free and to scale, I might need an operating budget of about $25,000, $40,000, $50,000, whatever it is a month. That's what you're now shooting for. But most people say they want the $50,000 program, but they want to pay, $500 a month.
Right. Interesting. So you touched on something on sales and learning to ask good questions. And you said if you're married, you're in sales. Is that what you said? You're in a relationship.
If you've ever gone on a date, if you're married, you're definitely. If you've been married for more than what's the average in America? I think it's like 7 years. If you've done that, you actually have some decent sales skills.
Yeah. All right. So we're going on 34 years in a couple months here, Holly and myself, and it's been a great ride. But very quick side story, and there's nothing to do with consulting, but it is a sales question in a sense, as you tie it into relationship.
Sure.
So, I met back in the 80s. I was a Bible smuggler into communist Eastern Europe and living in Austria. And this young blonde came on a summer team, and I just got back from a trip. I was gone to Poland or someday for several days, and so I just got back from this trip. And you go up and had a shower, and because we hadn't had a shower in days since we left. And there's a summer team here, and this is a girl from California. And so our habit was we'd sit around the living room, and whoever was driving for several days would sit on the floor, and someone else would give them a shoulder rub. And so I sat in front of this girl named Holly, who's now my wife, and she's giving me the shoulder rub. And so she's going to be embarrassed if I tell this story, but it's such a great story. So I go, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing." And she goes, "Well, I can do a foot massage too. I'm really good at those." And I go, "Well, look, listen." And there's all these, it wasn't weird. There's all these people in this big living room. So it was very cool. Anyway, so I said, "Well, look, I just had a shower. My feet are clean. Let's see what you can do." And so we actually have a picture of that. I wish I could bring it up on the screen right now. I didn't think about it.
You're like Rico Suave. Look at that line. Hey, here's some feet. Go to town.
See what you can do. So she was giving me this foot massage, and I'm like, "Oh my word, this is amazing. I haven't had anything like this in my life." And so so I expressed that, and she says, "Well, what's my pay here? Because in California I could charge $50 for an hour for this. What's my pay?" And so all these people around me are like, "Give her $50 or take her into Vienna on a date or whatever," because we were in Austria. And so I looked at her. This is day one. I looked at her and I said, "Will you marry me?" And she's like, "No, I don't even know you." So now I guess it's called a downsell now. I said, "Okay, well, how about we go into a date in Vienna then?" She goes, "Okay, we could do that." And so we had to wait a couple of weeks because we were traveling on opposite schedules. And a couple of weeks later, we actually went on a date into Vienna, and we hit it off from day one. And we got married, a year later, and now married 34 years, I guess. So sometimes you do ask for the sale on the first time. It doesn't work.
Well, what do they say? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
That's actually a great story. Definitely, I did not have that with my wife, and granted, I didn't get married till I was 40. So,
Okay.
I like to introduce my wife. This is my first wife, Susan. It's my only wife for the last 11 years. But she's like, "I don't like that." I said, "But I think it's funny." So one of these days I'll learn. You're also probably understanding why it took me till 40 to get married. So, it is funny because, you think about it. Really, I love when people, this is a whole talk for another
Sure.
podcast, but when it comes to sales, it's amazing how people misunderstand what that is, or they put it in these weird boxes of what they think sales is. We all know in our industry, which is why I've never hired them. I don't train them. We actually try to train around this high, sometimes they'll be called high ticket closers, but some of them are high pressure closing.
Yep.
And there's some big names, I won't say them, but there's some big name companies out there. I've had these people call me, and I'm like, and I'm probably, because I came up through sales in my career, I'm probably more lenient to salespeople because I know how hard it can be if you're doing relatively cold. Yet, man, when they're pressing, they're not and they're not listening. And you see that on the social media stuff and LinkedIn and all these other stuff that people are doing. If you would just learn to think of this in the long game, you went right for the close day one. Okay. But it still took a year before you were married for various reasons, right? And I'm slow learner. My wife said she reached out to me. I put something about Christian financial stewardship on my Facebook because I led the ministry at my church, Willow Creek, for years for that. And she saw that. I probably only did it 5 times. She saw it. She had just signed up for Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University in a church in California where she was living. By the way, we went to high school together. Hadn't seen her in 20 years.
Amazing.
And Of course, I'd like to say I was purely just gave her the information. Now, I did see she had a very attractive Facebook photo. So there was a little motivation there. It wasn't exactly all, altruistic
Sure.
here. Like, wow, Susan grew up. So I'm like, sure, I'll help you out, blah, blah, but I'm not thinking dating. Okay. When you live in Chicago, the South Side, I'm on the North Side. That's too far away. The
Sure.
suburbs,
Oh, yeah.
forget about them. I mean, I can pass 1 million people before I get to the suburbs. I'm not driving that
Yep.
far. So Los Angeles was not on the radar.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about salesperson? She was a great salesperson. I also think she's part Jedi because I had never been engaged. I had never seriously even looked for a ring. And she came into town in December. We got together for coffee or a meal. We went on a date like 5 days later. In March, I don't remember this. She said I invited her to one of my teammates in college, his wedding, which was the end of June in Maine. I said, there's no way. I was a guy that would wait till like a week or two. I wouldn't even tell you about the wedding in case this doesn't work out. Kind of a thing.
Funny.
And next thing I know, 1 year from the time she emailed me, we were walking down the aisle.
Wow.
And everyone's like, who is this person? Knowing about it? What's going on? They say you know when you know. But at that point, at 40, you sound like a Charlie Brown cartoon when you say that to me, like a teacher. Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you talk about, but there again, if you know, I'll tie that into, if you know what your value is, if you know what your non-negotiables are in business, that's a big tip. When you know what you can offer and what you can't, it will be much easier to choose the client you should and should not take. I got into this business doing it on the side, doing stuff for years. Then I decided to do this as a career. And I bought into programs, listened to certain things. I said, all right, I'll fail your way first. You build bigger. But I went away from some of the stuff I knew that worked.
Right.
And when it came down to, I said, you know what? This isn't what I do. This is what I'm good at. Yep. So the clients I'm working with, yes, I'll help, but it's not I'm not getting some of them, I wasn't getting the results I was looking for. So when I finally came back to who I was and what I was really good at, and I took the pieces that I learned from there, yet I got back to truly authentically who I am, the skill sets. And sometimes I had a mentor, and he was a counselor and a mentor. He was a very successful consultant, C-suite. At one time he had 28 different consultants flying around the world. He said, it's going to take you 2 to 3 years minimum to figure out who you are in your business. You're going to probably get business, but you're not going to know what business you want or don't want, who you are in that or not. So that's great advice. Don't try to go and live on this thing within the first 6 to 12 months.
That's really good. That takes the pressure off us as well, because we feel like we want to just hit it out of the park from day one. And, thinking about, you're saying, know who you are, know who you're not. And it's taken me a long time to realize
absolutely
like who I'm really good at, like what kind of things I'm really good at. And like, for me, it's innovation and the strategy and like architecting software but it's more the innovation side. Like, I'm not a technical guy. So ask me to learn something to, beyond PowerPoint and Word and all that. I struggle with it, but I can come up with concepts that are really good. Or if I'm in a situation where, people need to find, like, one of my favorite things to do is come up with a USP for people, because it's a different side of thinking. And I've got all these studies from different industries over so many years and seen so many different things. I can take something out of one industry, like, for example, how a Japanese auto dealer, because we were 12 years in Japan, how a Japanese auto dealer treats a client. You can take that and bring it into a dental office, and it transforms what happens in that dental office. Things like that. I love doing those kind of things, but I really don't like the management side. And frankly, I'm not very good at it.
Well, and acknowledging it, yeah, you're right. It's taking you some time. It's not that you couldn't be proficient, at certain things. There's no joy
in being proficient in something good enough to do it. It's like, what brings you joy?
Yeah.
Like, for me, it's creating something. It keeps me awake at night, and I'm working till all hours or whatever, but I love to do it. But when you start doing the detailed management and ticking the boxes, that thing it puts me to sleep.
Well, isn't that true about everything though? I mean, one of the things that Robert Kiyosaki's book, when he talked about the cash flow quadrant, I mean, that was probably the best thing he ever came up with. And most people go from working for someone and then they end up buying a job.
Yeah.
And they never learned leadership, because to be on the right side of the quadrant, that's leadership, systems, and duplication. But most people have never been on that. They don't study that. You and I, and I'm sure you're probably the same way, I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars, not my 4-year education, hundreds of thousands of dollars in my professional career in books, seminars, coaches, many hundreds. Now it's generated millions of dollars of revenue, and profit over the years. Yet it's amazing how many people try to negotiate success. They will drop $250,000 at undergrad right now to go into a degree that they won't even use, and without even blinking an eye. And then they think, oh, maybe I'm not sure what to do. I'll go and get a master's. So they'll go another $100,000 in debt. And yet, I think a statistic I read the other day that 76%, was it either 76 or 86% of college graduates, undergrad, within 10 years after graduating, their degree would have had no bearing on where their success is within 10 years, unless you're a specialized field like, finance or accounting, medical, something like that.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are getting these degrees and going into debt and whatnot. That's why I'm working with some organizations down here that are trying to do a lot of entrepreneurial teaching and utilizing AI to help bridge that gap with high school kids and college kids.
Wow.
So that's going to be the generation. There are a lot of people that should go and work in the trades than go into, getting a college degree in some cases. I'm not against college. So if you're a business coach, if you know what you're good at, and you can ask some questions, and you need to give yourself time to mess up, try, experiment, to figure out, give yourself some margin of time on money. So when I would have people call us in our last world and say, hey, and I ask them questions, what do you think I should do? I said, keep your day job. Don't do this thing part-time. Learn it part-time. Have your job pay for your future. Don't put the pressure on yourself, your family, and you're going to start taking clients that you shouldn't take just to pay the bills. And I said, and be very cautious at the well-marketed spin of other people's programs.
Can I offer some advice here?
Absolutely.
If you're just getting started in consulting, don't quit your job. Keep your job and do consulting on the side. Didn't you just say that, John? I'm sorry. That's probably the same thing.
I think I've heard that somewhere. Yeah,
Yeah. Right. You'll think that you can. Oh no, I'll be different. You're hearing from John. You're hearing from myself. It is a hard slugfest to be a business consultant if you haven't been one before, or if you don't have the years and experience to do what you should be doing. And I put my family in jeopardy many years ago because I thought I could just go out and get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a lot harder than I thought. And there were a lot of times I did not make money. But it wasn't just once. I repeated that mistake another time too. I've done it twice.
Would you agree that I think in this industry specifically, there is so much messaging out there from different programs that make it sound like invest this amount of money, you make 6 figures in 6 months and 120 days, you're going to be making 6 figures or more. And they make it sound so easy. And they make their program, and they don't factor in, they don't discern or vet the person they're talking to enough that's coming into this program. Do you agree that I think sometimes that the perception is, oh, hey, I can work out of my house, no overhead, work for yourself. Everyone loves that idea. You have no idea. It's not easy. I mean, there's times I have to you can fall into, be real transparent. I've fallen into depression at times being at home. I've joined business clubs. I joined other places. I got offices for a period of time, co-share places. I'm about to do another one here. It's not healthy for someone who's an extrovert like me to be home a lot. Now we can do this.
Yeah.
And people you don't know that until you, kind of people that retire after about 18 months are going nuts.
No, I totally agree with you. There's a lot of promises out there. The problem is when a company making the promise, if they don't really care about the people they're selling to, and they will bring in anyone. So let's look at it this way. If there's a company that doesn't have an application process, right? They say, hey, we're going to help you make 6 figures in 90 days or whatever that promise is.
Yep.
And they do or they don't have an application process, but they aren't turning people away. Literally, you can test it out, call people and act like someone, and they don't turn you away, but they do everything to sell you into the program and promise you. Then it's called a scam.
Yep.
It's not a serious company. So if you see things, just to people on the market there, if you're looking for a way to get into, this whole field and you're doing your research, I mean, just do your research.
And I'd hire, coaches need coaches, doctors need doctors, lawyers need lawyers.
Yeah.
You show me a coach who's never had a coach, they need one. And if you haven't done one and you're going to try to be one, you need one. I have multiple people I go to for different things. I have business coaches. I've had fitness coaches. I've had health coaches. I've had counselors, spiritual mentors and stuff like that. You need these different areas of your life because they all intertwine. And we tend to think we can compartmentalize our lives, that we are one person, but they blend into each other.
Okay, so let's stop real quick. And we got just a couple minutes left, but I want to define the coaching versus consulting.
Okay.
And we're not going to go into a heavy definition here.
Sure.
But there's some gray lines. For some people, it's very definite. You got coaching on one end, consulting on the other, and there's a lot of hybrid stuff happening in the middle. But the coaching would be, this is how I look at it. I'd say, you're my client. I'd say, John, let's talk about this. What do you think you should do here? And that's more of the coaching. And I'm trying drawing answers out of you that would help you to go down a path you should be going.
Okay.
The consultant is more of, John, here's the path you need to take. And if you take this path, you will get this result. So I just bring that up because a long time ago, back in 2007, I was moving from Japan, where I'd been for 12 years, to Kenya, moving my family. And I knew I was starting anew, and I hired a coach to help me transition. He was a business coach, former VP of a Fortune 100 company. It was very expensive, but he was really good. And now he's since passed away. But anyway, another story. So he would ask me a lot of questions. We'd have great conversations. But as we got into what I was doing then in Kenya, I would say, his name was John as well. John, what do I do here? And he goes, well, now you want me to consult. I'm like, yeah, what's the difference? Like, don't make me guess. Sure. Give me the next step to take because I'm stuck.
Yep.
He goes, well, now I'm consulting. Is that okay? I go, yes, please consult. Like, help me out. So I kind of see it like, they say a coach of a little league, it's maybe misnamed for what I'm trying to say here. But a coach of a little league does not tell his players, what do you think you should do? Right? He's saying, Johnny, run the bases that way, in that direction, not the other direction. Right? And you'll get to the home plate. But that's really a consultant's role that we're saying today. This is what I believe in more is the consulting. Is if I know as an expert the path this business owner should take, I'm going to advise them how to take that path so they do not beat their head against a brick wall over and over again, and they can get to success. And when I bring people into our company as well, it's like, what is your area of expertise? Show us how to get there in your area so that we don't bang our heads against a brick wall, and we want to get to success. But I can't pretend I know everything because I'm certainly so far from that. Anyway, your response, and then we're going to wrap it up.
I think what John Maxwell said many years ago, I remember seeing him talk, and he was saying, these are here's the 10 things I'm really good at. Years later, here's the 4 things I'm really, really good at.
Oh.
And eventually now he says, I'm really only good at 1 or 2 things.
Yeah.
Humility and wisdom and hubris, I think, kind of go through different dynamics as you get older. Consulting to me is you have firsthand experience, so you can understand emotionally as well as physically what the work or the skill is. because you've sat in the chair, you've done it, and you can walk them through that, right? And coaching is, like you say, it's more, if you use a funnel example, it's more top of the funnel, maybe 1 or 2 levels. Here's generally what you need to do. And then what a lot of coaches will do, and there's nothing wrong with this, they will then find other people that are good with the implementation. Some people will talk strategy, now go implement it. But they won't, either they can't or they shouldn't, or they're not yet equipped to help them, like you say, walk them down that path. Because one of the programs we created is a trademark called IDEA. It's IDIA. We help people identify the opportunity or the problem that needs to be solved. We help them develop the strategy and the solution that will help them solve that. Then we help them implement it. And then we help them accelerate and or adjust. Okay. That's the process. And that is consulting. That's what we do. Now, when I've done group basis, that ends up being more coaching than it is consulting. One-on-one, it's more consulting. Yeah. And to be honest, if you're looking to get into this business, if you have a skill set, again, going back to our earlier conversation, if you can stay in your lane, this is what you're an expert in. You know what they're talking about. You've been there. You know that when they say this at step 7, they're going to hit a roadblock. That's a good lane to start in. So now when you can consult, quite frankly, you get paid a lot more for consulting. Now, if you're trying to get started and getting some cash flow in and getting the money going so you can get automation, get a team built, I think there's somebody who said you need to have some one-on-one clients. You need to have one-on-one clients before you start doing groups. It gives you some things to try out. Your confidence gets built. The bank account's there. You're not putting anything at risk. You can fail on some things, fail forward.
Yeah, sure.
And then when you start growing a coach, then as a consultant or as a coach, your expertise, your authenticity, your knowledge is different now because you've been through that a little bit. You're doing something new. Okay. So that's good. That answers that question.
Absolutely. John, I love this conversation, and we should probably wrap it up here. Tell us, where can our guests find you online?
Yeah, you can go to newpathbusinessadvisors.com. You can always go there to find us, newpath, PATH, businessadvisors with an S.com. You can find us on Facebook at New Path Business Advisors. I'm on LinkedIn under my name, John Sedej. It looks like Sedej, but it's pronounced Sedej.
Sedej.
Sedej, yep.
Okay.
And if you are looking to do that, I highly recommend, and if you're evaluating programs or if you're evaluating coaches or someone to hire, definitely you can email us. You can contact us through the website. Website's in the process of being completely rebuilt right now because we've shifted. But boy, let us help you because it's a great profession for the right people, and it'll be a great profession in the future as long as you stay true to yourself. Stay in the lane of integrity. That alone will separate you in the 2 or 3% that will have a successful career versus those that are trying to do a side hustle.
There you go. So good. Well, thanks, John. Bless you.
Thank you. Likewise.
And wish you all the best.
Likewise. Look forward to talking again soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Consulting Kingdom. You've discovered valuable insights and strategies to enhance your consulting practice and to make a meaningful kingdom impact in your corner of the world. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on your favorite platform. Your feedback helps us to reach more consultants like you. To experience the Kingdom Growth Engine software firsthand and to stay connected, follow us on social media and visit our website at kingdomgrowthengine.com. Until next time, continue practicing your consulting skills, offer your assistance generously, bring value wherever you go, and serve with the heart of a king. Cheers!